Yeah, all right. Uh, we can start. Sorry. So, as we discussed yesterday, so we'll be talking about. We'll start with Linux today. Let me share my screen. All right. Can I see my screen? Yeah. Can I see my screen now? Anyone? Yeah. Okay. So, okay. We'll start with Linux then today. Anyone know what is Linux? I mean, to keep it simple in just one line, it's an free and open source operating system. You know, Windows, obviously, operating system. You might have everyone used the laptops already. So it's an OS. I mean, OS means operating system, where you'll be using that. I mean, you'll be using whatever the features operating system will provide to you to do anything. Similarly, we have an operating system called Linux, but it's free and open source. What does that mean, free? Okay, free means obviously we don't need to pay the license. Because for Windows, if you see, we need to pay the license. Of course, we can use the free version also without using the license, obviously. But if you want to enable every feature, so we need to have a license for Windows also. Like, let's say I downloaded Windows Home Edition 2000, I mean, uh, Windows 11 or something. There is a key actually. I need to buy the key and I need to give it. By default, when you buy a new laptop, they'll give it already. It will come with 1 year warranty. So once it is expired, you have to buy a new key if you want to enable everything. Otherwise, lots of features will be disabled in Windows. I mean, I'm just saying, not Linux and all. On the right side, on the bottom corner, you'll see click here to activate Windows, something like that. You might have seen it. It's because the license has been expired. Still, of course, we can download some fake license. We can able to use it, but there will be a lots of features disabled based on that. But Linux is not like that. Linux is free. I mean, no need of license or anything. Just you can use it. No worries. You can install it, use it, and that's it. So you don't need to pay anything. You don't need to, do anything. Okay, that is one point. And what is open source? Open source means where, see, I said this free. One thing is free, so you can able to download it. Open source means it's referring to the software where the source code is available directly for everyone. So let's say for Linux, the source code, whatever developers have used to build the Linux operating system. ఇప్పుడు మనం ఒక OS ని బిల్డ్ చేయడానికి అయితే కోడ్ వాడినారో డెవలపర్ స్టార్టింగ్ లో, ఆ కోడ్ అవైలబుల్ గా ఉంది బయట. నువ్వు డౌన్లోడ్ చేసుకొని నువ్వు కొత్త ఓఎస్ క్రియేట్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. సింపుల్. ఇప్పుడు ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ నేను ఉన్నాను. ఆ, నాకు నాకు కొత్త ఓఎస్ కావాలి సార్. నేను ఉన్న కోడ్ని డౌన్లోడ్ చేసుకొని కొంచెం మార్చుకుంటా, పేరు మార్చుకుంటా, అదే చిన్న చిన్న మార్చుకొని నాకు ఓఎస్ రిలీజ్ చేస్తా మార్కెట్లోకి. జనాలు ఇస్తే వాడుకుంటారు. యాజ్ సింపుల్ యాజ్ దట్. దాన్ని ఓపెన్ సోర్స్ అంటారు. చాలా వరకు టూల్స్ ఇన్ ద మార్కెట్ ఓపెన్ సోర్స్ ఉంటాయి. ఎందుకంటే బయట పెద్ద కమ్యూనిటీస్ ఉంటాయి. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్, నాట్ జస్ట్ Linux, there are so many tools out there which are open source. We'll see slowly, one by one. But for now, Linux is free and open source. That's why there are so many operating systems in Linux. Let me show you one sample. See, how many are there? See, almost 30. I think easily 30 will be there. Of course, we don't use all these things, but these many are available because it's an open source. So anyone can download the code and they can able to use it. That's why Linux is famous. And of course, another not just for free, because of that, not just open source, it's famous and it's secure. And security is better compared to Windows, I would say, as well as large community support is there. Like community support is if you let's say there'll be a lot community means with multiple people involved. If you got any issue, if you're struggling with something, if you post your question, they'll answer, you back. As an example, Stack Overflow. Stack Overflow is a website actually. It's a website. So what happens here is you can register yourself. If you have a doubt, you can just ask in the Stack Overflow this website, and they'll give you back. It's a Stack Overflow community. So if the question is already asked, you'll get the answer directly. But if it is a new question, you can just simply ask it. Log in or sign up, ask a question. That's it. See, these are all the questions someone might have asked. Mostly, you'll figure it out. Whatever your question might have asked already. But if you're not, you can ask directly here. No paid or nothing. Just log in and say, register and just ask a question. Similar way, we have for Linux also. Mm. So for everything, where you can able to ask a question, any doubt. If we got stuck somewhere and all, so it will be used. It will be answered. So huge communities, unlike Windows. So Windows also have a community, but compared to Linux, no, not really a good one. So now this is about basic about OS. Not about OS, about Linux OS. So we have, as you can see, I told it's a free, anyone can use it. So and it's open source. Anyone can download its source code and it can able to, they can able to create their own. See Oracle also there, but the Linux is not developed by Oracle. How they got the OS? As I told you, right? It's open source. You can download it. Oracle downloaded it, customize it according to their requirements, and they released a new OS called Oracle Linux. So maybe in the Oracle every organization, in every Oracle organization, they might be using Oracle Linux only for their servers. So that's about Linux operating system. Of course, you may get it out like why I need to use Linux. This is the first point: free and open source. And is there any other thing? Yeah, there are. So this security, as I mentioned, right? So in Linux, there are layers of security. What happens is like it will be difficult to hack and everything. So in Windows, in Linux, you don't need to install any, anti-virus software or something like that. By default, every, Linux operating system built in with that. So that's why I'm telling you that, like, if you say onion, right, onion, the vegetable. So if you, the layers of things, right, in that. So similar way, uh, in Linux also there are layers of security. But in Windows, what makes you'll see Windows Defender, I guess, default. So that's the one thing. These are main advantages. Of course, what companies look for security also one of the main thing, right? So that's why Linux will be used majorly. If you see even here, whatever I'm saying, it's Mac built on Linux only. You see anything, any organization. Majority. I would say like IT, not just IT. Majority of the organizations, be in any domain, they'll use Linux for a production level environments. They don't use Windows. Of course, not Microsoft. Microsoft also have Linux. But sorry, yeah, I've seen it. Microsoft also use Linux because that's powerful. It is. That's That's how easy it is to set it up, to use it, to adapt it for our use cases. So that's why people use Linux. Now you may ask, like we have 30 here, which one we'll be using? So of course there are lots of. There are top five, I would say, Debian one thing, and let's come to Oracle. Of course, Oracle, not just Oracle company, outside also some organizations uses by paying something. OpenSUSE one thing, CentOS, Ubuntu, Kali Linux, everything. This also. So we don't bother about all those things. We just pick one and use it. That's it. So the only difference in all these is very few commands will change. That's it. That's the only thing it will change. So let's say there is something here. I mean, like to create a file. In Windows, how do we create? Just we right click on it, a new file, new text file, or new folder will create, right? Similarly, in Linux, we created a file in some way, with something. Same thing also we can do here also, but with a little different approach maybe. But the doing is same. Maybe the command is different. So you can just use any of these. You can still figure out that easily. See, Windows 11, 12, sorry, 11, 10, 9, or 7, they're all same, right? Nothing changes really. Maybe the UI and all. Similarly here also, just very few command changes. Apart from that, everything will be same. So for our class purposes, I mean everything, we'll use Ubuntu. You have heard about Ubuntu. Why Ubuntu? Ubuntu have the largest community in Linux. Largest community in Linux. Right? Of course, as I told you, Linux itself have a large community, but within that, Ubuntu have the largest community. So it's open source. And of course, you might have heard like Red Hat. Red Hat. Red Hat is, of course, it's an organization. So what they also have Linux, operating system provided. Enterprise version also there, free version also there. Red Hat, Linux. No need to download. Yes. So they also have operating system. Most famously, uh, you might have heard about this, like Red Hat Enterprise Linux, RHEL, they call it, or Ubuntu. It's like competition between these two. I mean, not a competition, I would say, but majority of the people use these two, either Red Hat Linux or Ubuntu. Anything, both are same. As I told you, just one or two commands will change, but other things, everything is same. I mean, every path, I mean, every structure is same. I mean, but so let's take Ubuntu for now. Of course, as I told you, Red Hat also provides Linux. We have to buy it. See, Linux is something which is freely available. Why I need to pay again? Of course, some companies use it because they'll get support directly from Red Hat. I mean, there will be lots of advantages, but I set up a startup. I can't buy that. So, what is the best alternative? Ubuntu. Ubuntu is the best alternative. Of course, it's a free and open source. We no need to pay and all. So, we'll take Ubuntu for our class for now. Okay, this about just a basic introduction. Let's see. We have seen all these things that I mean we know that there are huge, multiple number of OS distributions. But how the first one came? What is the first one? How the first one came? See, as I told you, it's open source and it's free. Okay, everyone here, I think, including Red Hat Linux, they downloaded the free OS. I mean, the core and everything. They created their own operating systems. Like you see everything here. It's made out of something. But what is the first one? So initially we used to call Unix. Unix. So it's not a Linux at the time, just Unix. See if you see. So Unix is an operating system provided by Bell Labs. Some engineers, we don't know who are they. So 1960s they have developed this operating system, multi-user multitasking system. I'll tell you what are those, don't worry. So they developed this operating system and it's not free at the time. It was a property of Bell Labs. Bell Labs is maintained by it's under AT&T. You might have heard AT&T in US. They are famous. So AT&T literally, I mean, if you say Unix was developed by AT&T company. AT&T it's a mobile company and everything. I mean AT&T. This is a company, telecommunication company. See, they're a huge company. I mean, we don't need all those things, but yeah, I'm just saying. So it was not free at that time. It was, they had to pay. Okay, but what is the basic features of Unix at that time? Multitasking and multi-user, I told you. What is that? In Windows, I'll take a simple example so that you'll understand it. Let's say I have a Windows laptop. In Windows laptop, we have user A, B, C. But have you ever tried logging in multiple users? We can't do that. So user A logged in currently, he's doing something in the Windows laptop. If user B want to use it, user has to log out. Then only user B can log in. Similar way, C also. If C wants to use it, B has to log out. That's single user system. It means only one user can log in at a time. You got it right? Only one user can log in at a time. But Linux is not like that. It's a multi-user system. It means n number of users. Multiple users can log into Linux system, Unix system for now. Unix system without any issues. At the same time, user A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z, let's say, all of them can log into Linux system at the same time because it supports multi-user logging. So that's what it called multi-users. This is one of the major things, why people use Linux. As I told you, one thing is free and open source security. Multi-users, one of the major thing. Of course, now Windows also have Windows servers, not in our laptops. In our laptops, we'll get Windows Home Edition. So there is something called Windows servers, 2016, 19 something versions. So there you can able to log in with multi-users and all, but generally you can't. But Linux, nothing like that, Home Edition or something like that. If you install Linux, it means you can able to use with multiple users. And of course, multi-users means multitask, right? A logged in, he's doing something. B logged in, he's doing something. C logged in, he's doing something. So multitasking, obviously. So it's one of the core things. So, yeah, that's why it's kept in key features. So multitasking, sorry, multi-user and multitasking. That's one of the main advantage. So and there was few more things. We'll discuss all of these things. Don't worry. So yeah, now Unix. Unix I developed by AT&T in a Bell Labs in 1960s, but not free. So now then I think in 1991, I guess there was this guy called Linus Torvalds. Let me listen. Sorry, Linus Torvalds. Yeah, he's the guy uh, who made it open source, who made it free for everyone. What he made it free? So he bought Unix. I mean, he just bought it. I mean, not really company and all. He just bought the operating system. He wanted to build an Unix-like operating system for free for everyone as an alternative because Unix it's maintained by the company. It's not free. Obviously, everyone has to buy and all the OS and all. So this guy he bought an OS and he wanted to create a free alternative version to the Unix. At the time, I think for his personal computer, not for everyone. So he started building Linux. Okay. If you see what is CEO, there is no CEO actually, if you see. But traditionally, we'll consider Linus Torvalds as the creator of Linux. See, I told Linux, the one which we are using currently. And I told earlier Unix. Earlier there was Unix. Linus Torvalds took the Unix and made Linux out of it, which is what we are currently using. So Unix was not free, but this guy Linus Torvalds, he made it free with the help of Linux. I mean, he made it free by using Linux. So he built a new operating system called Linux on top of Unix, and he made it free for everyone. So, but why the name change? And exactly what has been changed? Let's discuss that first. Okay, Unix operating system is there. What he changed and why the name changed? These two things. First thing, what he changed is every operating system will have something called a kernel. Kernel. Let me type it here. Kernel. Kernel. Yeah. So every operating system will have this kernel. Kernel is something the main component actually in OS. Even in Windows laptops also, even in phone also there will be a kernel. What's happening here is like it'll manage the connection between software and hardware. So let's say uh, in my phone, or let's simply currently what I'm doing here, I opened Google Chrome, right? It's a software, and if I click on Google Chrome, how it came, how it's opened, just because by clicking on the app, it can't open directly, right? You gave an input. Hey, double click on Chrome. It means you want to open the Chrome. This input will be taken to the kernel, and which will take to hardware, and the kernel will say like, hey, user trying to open Chrome, give me the output, and kernel takes the output and give backs to you. Same thing like that. Every operating system there will be kernel. I don't know the name of Windows kernel. Wasn't really. I never used it, but in Linux also there is a kernel. So kernel is nothing but a bridge between. Yeah, you can see the definition. A bridge between hardware and software. So like it will manage everything. If there is no kernel, it means you cannot do anything with the operating system. You cannot do anything. So this guy Linus Torvalds, he developed Linux kernel. So Linux kernel, he developed it. It's a free and open source like Unix like kernel. See. So this kernel was created by Linus Torvalds in 1991. So this guy, what he did is he bought the Unix. He developed a new kernel. Unix like same similarly like Unix for Unix which has already. He developed a new kernel and he released the OS for free. So it was Unix earlier. Since he developed the kernel, right? Honoring him, the name became Linux. L means Linus Torvalds. Li means, and Nux means Unix like that. So that's why the name came Linux. Linus Torvalds Nux like that because he developed it. That's why that's what we are using. That's what everyone is using now. So in 1991, until 1991, Linux is not free. After 1991, he made it free. He developed his own like kernel and released it to the public. And once he released it, everyone started adapting it because it's free, right? It's free and open source. I can able to change anything. See, they have released these many OSs. Every company adapted that, used that source code and released it. That's what. That's the main little background of Linux. So in 1991, it was started, and coming to 2010s, I mean, It's running in everywhere, including our Android phones. Android runs on Linux only, if you ever observed. Starting from smartphones to space missions, whatever we are doing, everyone will use Linux only, not Windows. I'm not saying Windows is bad, something like that, but I'm just saying advantages of Linux. Every smartphone you use, it depends on Linux only. Every smartphone. Got it right. Even something like Apple, if you see, as I told you earlier, right? The Mac OS is running on Linux. The iPhone is running on OS only. Without that, without Linux, I think we cannot have all these things for free. Of course, C language is one of the things which they have used. Without C, we can't do anything. So, but obviously, Linux is the main thing. So this guy, Dennis Ritchie, he created the C programming language. He died at 11. So he is the main one of the main contributors actually. What happens is like based on C only Unix came, and based on Unix Linux came, which we are using now. So lots of things. I mean, cycle like that. Yeah, but that's okay. So this is what about Linux. The intro, I mean, like what is Linux, how it came, no, just the basic things. Now, how to next thing, how to use it, right? How to use Linux. Of course, there are multiple ways. You might have all know this already. One is GUI, and another is command line. I'm not opening the differences, but yeah. So how to use it is you can use by GUI or command line. Whatever we will discuss this. So before this GUI and all, you have to first figure it out which OS you want to use. So for our class purpose and everything practice, we have chosen Ubuntu. As I told you, anything is fine. I mean, Red Hat also fine. There is something called CentOS. I mean, I think CentOS, yeah, you can able to use CentOS. That's completely fine. Ubuntu. Organizations, they differ. I mean, depends on what they want to use, they'll use it. We have, I mean, in our organization also we have Ubuntu, we have CentOS, not Red Hat. I mean, we don't want to pay. So we have these two. Like it depends on organization. Mostly any of these, either Ubuntu or CentOS. So CentOS also came from Red Hat Linux. It's like a copy of copy. It's free, right? So commands will be same. That's fine. So now I choose an Ubuntu. What's next? I want to install it. So as I told you yesterday, so no need to install it. Just create an cloud account, AWS cloud account. I'll show you how to create a server, Linux server out there, how to log in. Maybe tomorrow. So you can directly, practice and everything. Got it? Because nowadays no one does the installation. Maybe very few desktop admins who will, desktop admin, like, when you go to office, they'll give laptops and everything, right? Laptop, etc., everything. So those guys will install the, what do you say? Oh yes, we don't do that anymore. No, because everyone is on cloud now. In cloud, you don't need to install the operating system. It will give you by default. You can just simply choose it. Let's not focus there for now. We'll see that tomorrow. But yeah, for now, uh, I chosen Ubuntu OS, and let's say I have it ready now. It's installed. How to log in? As I told you, there are two options: GUI and command line. What does it mean, GUI? Whatever you're seeing now, it's GUI. GUI means graphical user interface. Graphical user interface, and of course, command line interface. The interface means what you are seeing now in Windows. Because why I'm taking Windows every time is We have used it in our life, maybe, maybe from engineering, obviously, I believe, even though we don't use it for proper use. Everyone know Windows laptops. Linux you'll use once you came to organization, once you came to IT and all. But just for general purpose, you might have used Windows. So comparing that, you'll understand easily. That's why I'm every time comparing with Windows. Once you got habituated with Linux, maybe a week or something, or then we don't need to compare anymore. But yeah, that's okay for now. Let's take Windows laptop. You opened it, you clicked on power button, you gave your password, and you will access everything, right? Click on File Explorer or some browser or something, control panel, everything. You're accessing all those things using a mouse pointer or something. That's called graphical user interface. See, let's say here my laptop. Let's say I'm accessing all these things. Uh, Sorry. Lots of things. I'm accessing all of this, right? Uh, Please, yeah. This is called graphical user interface. I mean, because I'm doing everything on the screen where I can able to see everything like UI. So this is what we call graphical user interface. We are doing everything. Okay, this is fine. Then what is command line? Command line is sorry. Like, if you want to open something, you'll open through command line. You open through command. It's simply like I command you to do it. You are giving some instruction to it. Similarly, if I want to open Chrome in here, I'll simply, let's say you want to click a new tab. I'll open new tab like this, right? Or if you want to open the Chrome, I'll just go there and double click on it, right? Same thing, it's a command only. Similar way, command line interface is like I'll give some command here, something. It'll open something like that. So I'll give you like this. Some commands, forget about it. We'll see all those commands in some more time. But yeah, we are whatever we are doing in the UI. Like let's say I want to open Chrome, I can open Chrome using command. Let's say I in Windows I created some I want to create some file in maybe local disk C D something some folder. I can simply what I do local disk D and double click on it. Inside that everything will open. I click on the folder and I'll right click on it, create a new file, something like that. Similarly, Windows also have command line. If you just click, I mean, try. It's not a Windows laptop mine. So just type CMD in Windows Start. You'll get a command line. Obviously, you might have used it in some part of your life. So Windows also have command line where whatever you're doing from the UI, you can able to do it with the command line. Similarly, Linux also have UI and a command line. UI where exactly like Windows, you can able to open, double click on it, open it like that, blah blah. But nobody uses. I'm telling you again, nobody uses GUI in Linux. Everything will be command line. Everything will be command line only. Remember again, no one uses the UI in Linux. UI or GUI both are same. I mean, it's a shortcut. I mean, graphical user interface or user interface both are same. So nobody uses that. Nobody. I'm telling you again. If you go to any organization, anything, even just startups which started yesterday, they don't use Linux UI, GUI, sorry, or let's say Windows. Obviously, they'll use the UI because Linux command line in Windows maybe no, not everyone knows it, but in Linux, no one uses the UI. I am telling you again, no one uses. So everything through command line interface only. There will be a black screen like that, and you pass some commands. It will give you the output. That's it. How do I open Chrome and everything? Then you don't use Chrome in Linux. Why you need a Chrome? As I told you, Linux operating systems not for user, personal use. They'll be using for servers. They'll be using for to run applications in in office organizations. So not for personal use. Not for watching movies. Not for our personal use at least. No one does that. So they'll be using for professional use. Linux will be for professional use, not for savages. So yeah, that's about intro of Linux. That's about how we use the Linux using command line mode. Why I'm preparing you all this is for the next 3 months or 3.5 or 4 months, we'll be using the commands. Of course, you might not know what are these CDLS, but you will get to know. Don't worry. So next 4 months, no UI. You can't see Linux UI at all. You'll just see the command line. You'll just see the command line. Nothing really. Now, apart from that, nothing really. So this is the base of everything. This is the base of Linux is the base of everything. Of course, if you don't know Linux, you can go with for Windows side also, but very, very less opportunities, I would say. Very less opportunities. No one, sorry, no one built their, DevOps things and everything on Windows. Majorly on Linux only. Whatever their applications, sorry, whatever the applications, DevOps tools and everything, technologies, everything they're on Linux. Even as just take any example. If you know someone, who is working as already DevOps engineer, ask them what you use for, servers and everything, for DevOps tools and everything. They'll say Linux only. No one uses Windows. That's why it is the base of everything. Not for developers, maybe for us operators, DevOps engineers and everything. It is the base. There are jobs for separately for Linux only. If you do the certification, you'll get that also. But yeah, we don't want that. I mean, obviously. So one thing, what I'm trying to say is, remember, there'll only be command line interface. Graphical user interface, we won't be using it. Even I used a long time ago. I don't know, maybe 7 years or 8 years. I never used it because we don't use it at all. Maybe at the time there was not cloud much. We were installing the operating systems. So at the time I used the UI, Linux UI. But later once the cloud came, it's been 6 or 7 years. No, I'm not using it. The graphical user interface anymore. Just CLI. There's a black screen. Now maybe it's brown, what I'm showing, but it'll be a black screen. No, don't worry. How to create the server, how to access it, that we'll see tomorrow. So, but for today, we'll cover what is Linux, how to access it and everything. What's inside the Linux also, we'll try a little bit. I think, yeah, few more minutes are there. We can try that. So now, for our use case, let's imagine we already have what is that? Linux OS installed, Ubuntu, obviously, or Red Hat, anything, is fine. Now, what's inside a Linux server? What's inside a Windows server? Let's take that. I mean, the directories means nothing but folders. Don't call them folders anymore. You're professionals. Just directory, D-I-R-E-C-D or right, directory. Files. I mean, that we can't change that. But folders, we don't call them folders anymore. We just call them directories. Of course, there is nothing wrong in calling the folders, but in Linux terminology, they call it directories. Directory, singular. English, I think, plural. So that's it. So folders, I mean, you can call it folders also. There is nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying because I don't want you to confuse again. If I say directory or let's say anyone directory, what is a directory? I don't know. This guy did not told us anything. Both are same. I meant to say. So okay. Let's say I open Windows laptop now. What do you see? You'll see two things or three things, I believe. Local disk C, local disk D, local disk E, F, whatever it is. Correct? Or maybe only you'll see only one thing, local disk C. So what they're doing actually here is, I mean, what in Windows or anything, they have a disk, right? I mean, Windows also. I think we all know. which laptop you want, they'll say 15 GB RAM, uh, 1 TB hard disk, like that will say. So in the hard disk, they're dividing into smaller parts. We call them partitions. That topic will come later, is main thing. Like we are dividing into smaller parts and using it. So those smaller parts are only called partitions, and local disk, whatever you're saying, those are names. Local disk C, local disk D, they are names of the partitions. Like you cut a cake, you have a cake, like it's a round cake. Is there? I'm just trying maybe a bad example, but yeah, you have a cake, you cut it into smaller pieces, right? You take one piece each. Imagine you did not cut any piece. And how do you eat it? How do you eat the cake then? No, you can't eat it, right? It won't fit in your mouth. It's a big one. The cake is round and big, right? Obviously. So what you do, you cut the cake into smaller pieces. And you just take one piece and eat it. If the piece is done, you take another piece. Correct? That's what generally we do. You just can't simply take the whole cake and put it in the mouth. It's unless your mouth is too big. So it's not possible. Similarly here also, you have a disk, hard disk of 1 TB. You can't use 1 TB obviously. That's why you divide them into smaller portions. Portion, we don't call portions, so we call them partitions. So CD, what are the CD, E, F, D something? They are partition names. Local disk means in your Windows laptop, it's a hard disk. That's why they call it local disk by default. You can't change that. So you're dividing your hard disk into smaller parts. That's why the CD. AB, I don't know, AB won't be there, but it will start with C. Don't ask me why, but I don't know. So these are partition letters. In Windows, they format it like that. Letters, C, D, E, F, G, something. Anything. I think you can go until Z, but we don't need. What we're doing is just simply dividing into smaller parts. We call them partitions in technology, in IT technology, and we use it. Why? Because you can't use everything at once. That is one thing. And another thing, if the hard disk is gone for some reason, hard disk got spoiled or something, you lose everything, correct? But what if we have divided into smaller partitions, right? If one partition is corrupted, we still have the other ones. We still have the other one. That's the thing. Let's say same thing. Take a cake example. You did not cut the cake. Something spill on it, maybe some water or something. The whole cake is spoiled. But you already cut the cake. You kept it separately everywhere in separate plates and everything. Maximum water will cover one or two uh, pieces, right? Not everything. So still you have the remaining cake to eat. Similarly here also. We divide them and we use it. Divide and use it, or divide and rule to be more famous one. So we cut the cake, we eat it piece by piece. Similarly here also we cut the hard disk. Uh, Partition by partition we'll use it. Or portion by portion. I mean anything is fine. You got it? So that's all we call partitions, C, D, E, F, like something, those things. So that's what we call it. In IT terminology, what we call them is like CDE. We don't call them local disk. We call them partitions, right? We call them partitions. In another terminology, we call them a directory structure. Directory means folder structure. What does that mean, folder structure? I think you already know. Folder, there is a folder. Inside there will be some files. Inside there will be folder, like a structure inside it. A flow, how it looks like. So in Windows, the folder structure is there will be a disk. I mean the main hard disk. The partitions, local disk C, D, E, F, like that. They're called directory structure. Or simply, in other words, we call it hierarchy structure. Don't ask me the spelling. Let me try. Hierarchy. Oh, hierarchy structure. Oh, yeah, spelling is correct. Hierarchy structure. Hierarchy. Not chi hierarchy. So it's like how in our operating system, how it looks like. When you open Windows, as I mentioned, you will see local disk CDF. You don't see the main disk, the 1 TB disk, whatever it is. It will be inside, obviously attached to your laptop. But you will see this partition. You'll because you have to use it. That's how you use it, right? We can directly store in the disk. We store in the partitions, the local disk C, whatever it is. Local disk C, we store operating system. Local disk D, we store movies and other personal stuff like that. So that will be stored in the disk, obviously. These are basic, I mean, not Linux. So similar way, every server have its own hierarchy structure. Just like in Windows. In Linux also we have hierarchy structure. That hierarchy structure will consist of multiple folders, or we call it multiple directories. Since this is a Mac, there will be some other things too, but yeah, this is the overall structure will be look like. Today we'll just see what are those. Of course, we'll use anything, everything of those in future classes, but for now, we'll just see what are those. Let's show a good image, maybe you'll understand. Maybe this. Yeah, this will be better and easier to understand. Sorry. Hope you can see the image. You can see the image, right? Sorry. So now what happens here is in Windows, what you call it local disk CD. But in Linux, there will be this is the how the hierarchy structure is. These are the folders. These are all the information about the folders, what it will store, and this is the main folder. That see if you see the directory is there, not folder, root folder. We don't call it folder, as I told you, root directory. So slash is the folder path. Folder name is the slash. That's the name. That's folder name, not some symbol like that. In Linux, it is a folder name. Slash means the folder name or folder path, you call it. So let's say in Windows, if you open local disk C, there will be lots of folders, right? So local disk C is the main path. Inside there are a lot of folders. So similarly here also, slash is the main path, main directory. That's why if you see slash, it's showing. I mean, forget about the command what I used. You'll see that tomorrow. But see, this is the slash inside slash. The command out there. So inside slash, every folder will be there. Every folder in the Linux server. In Windows also, you see my computer, right? If you open my computer, you'll see local disk C, C, D, V like that. So it means everything is under my computer only. So let's say you stored some your personal data. Uh, sorry, 1 minute. Oh, little bit too much. That's okay. Forget about this for now. So let's say in Windows, you stored some, maybe let's say your photo you stored in local disk C somewhere in some folder. My photo, something like that. It will be inside some path, right? The path means starting from local disk D. Local disk D, my folder, photos. Inside that, the photo will be there. This is the whole path of the file, the photo, whatever we store. In Linux, it will be a little different terminology. Because there is no local disk C, there will be slash. Inside that slash, these are all the folders will be there. You don't need to create any of these. They'll come by default when you install the operating system. Got it? So slash is the main folder in the Linux system. Inside it only everything will be there. Everything. I'm telling you, right? Whatever you see in the Linux, whatever the files you see, whatever the folders you see, it will be under the slash only, under any of these folders. Of course, you can create a new folder if you want, but that's completely fine. But most people use any of these. Got it, right? So just like a Windows local disk CD, something like that, we'll have here a root directory called slash, under slash, everything will be there. So Folder slash, what are those? We'll see each folder. For now, I'll just say what are those. Of course, you'll not get it. Once you start using it, you'll understand what the use of all these things. But for now, I'll just explain. So slash, obviously root directory, root of the file system. Let's keep it for now, root folder. Everything is under slash only. So we'll have a lot of things. Slash bin, binaries will be present. What are the binaries? The commands, whatever we execute in Linux, those are called binaries. As I told you, I'll explain more details in upcoming classes, but just I'm trying to give you the basic today. Boot means slash boot means like boot files. Boot file means to boot the operating system, whatever the files are required, it will be present under boot. Slash dev, device files. If you let's say in Windows, you do something, you attach external hard disk, it will be some local disk F or something, right? Here it will be in Linux, it will start with slash dev slash something. If you observe until so far, I'm not saying bin, I'm not saying boot, I'm not saying dev. I'm just saying slash bin, slash boot, slash dev. I'm saying the full path. What does it mean slash boot? There is a folder called boot inside the slash. There is a folder called bin inside the slash. Slash, the folder is slash and bin. Like in, let's say, local disk C slash my folder slash something like that. So saying that slash is important. Saying the slash is important. Why? Because it's you're telling that it's under the slash opt. It means there is a opt folder under the slash. See, if I ask you, hey, I want to see the movie in your laptop, which folder it is? What you'll say? Go to movies folder. What you'll say? Go to local disk D. In that, there is a movies folder. Open it. You're saying the full path, correct? Because you're saying local disk C. That's a Windows technology. In Linux, it's slash. In Linux, say I want to watch a movie. Go to slash movies. I mean, it's not. I'm just saying example. That's the Linux terminology. In Windows, you'll say go to local disk D somewhere. In Linux, slash movie somewhere. So like that. So saying is important always. Saying is always important. So that's why slash boot slash bin slash dev, as I told you, it'll to mount the devices. I'm just giving the basic command. So there everything will be used, I mean in the next classes and all. Slash etc where our configuration files will be present. What configuration file? Whatever we install, whatever we use it in Linux. Just like in Windows, program files x86. Whenever you install something, let's say anything, Chrome or anything, it will by default go to program files only. If you have ever observed that in local disk C, it will be present because it's the default path where everything will go. Similarly, here also etc will the default configuration path where everything will go. Slash home, slash home is a user directory. This is also similar to Windows. Let's say in Windows you created a new user. What happens under the C local disk C? I mean the C. There is a folder called users. Inside that, a new folder will be created with the username, right? Have you tried that ever? You might have. I mean, in Windows, multiple users are there. Multiple folders will be present in the C users, the path. I mean, C users, the what is it? User path in local disk C users. There will be a folder based on the username. Similarly, in Linux also, it's not C, right? Because it's Linux. It's not users. Simply, it's a home slash. The username is maybe let's say Ishwar slash Ishwar slash home slash Ishwar. See, I'm saying the slash man literally. I can't simply say home Ishwar. What is it? No, it does not make any sense. Slash home slash Ishwar. That's the thing. So that's about the home. Slash lib will store the libraries. What are those libraries? We'll see again later. Slash media, if any pen drive you hit it, I mean, we can able to mount it here. Same thing with slash MNT. We can able to, any external hard disk, we can able to mount here. There are lots of things, slash MNT, slash media, slash dev. We'll see all those on my own, don't worry. Slash OPT, it's an additional, it's OPT means optional actually. So there will be nothing inside it, just an empty folder. But if in case if you want to store something, you can just simply store it. You can store it. I mean, there is nothing really over there. Slash sbin system binaries. If you see here, slash bin is there. Again, slash sbin. Sbin is where system binaries will be there. It means first thing, what are binaries means? Binaries or I'll keep it maybe a simple way. See, you double click on Chrome in Windows, it open. How it open? It's on a desktop, let's say, correct? You click on the Chrome symbol, that icon, and it opened it. How? And that too, it's a shortcut. You would have observed. Whatever you see in desktop, they are shortcuts for something else. The original files will be somewhere inside in a program file somewhere, Chrome folder, something like that. So what's happening here is when you double click on something, let's say Chrome, it's executing the file inside it in the program files, wherever the source is. And it's executing and opening the Chrome for you. Correct. See here what's happening is if you open anything, there is something called executable file in the backend, which will get started, which will open the application for you, which will start the process. Same thing if in your phone, if you open something, let's say you open WhatsApp or Instagram, why it takes the memory first thing? Because there is some program behind that which will start these tools, which will start these apps. Similar way, everywhere it's the same. If you want to open something, uh, there will be a program inside behind that. When you click on that, it'll the program behind that will start running and it will open for you, which will take the RAM and everything. So in Linux also, in Windows it will be in, as I told you, program files 86. In Windows also, sbin is the system, whatever you're executing, the system commands and everything, executable files we call it, will be stored in sbin. Whatever user executed will be stored in bin. Now next thing is slash srv. Srv, we never used it. I mean, but it's for like, data for service from system. It says it means that system will use it. We don't use it. Same thing here only. Bin, boot. There are a few things. Lib, sbin. We don't use all these things. We'll use maximum home, opt, maybe etc sometimes. Remaining all will be used by system only. But they are present already. That's what I told, right? You don't need to do any of this, to create any of this. They're all present by default. You just need to use it. Of course, mostly it will be used for system only, not us. But we have to know all these things. Slash tmp temporary folder, of course, you know all these things. So in Windows also it will be slash temp, sorry, in Windows. Or percentile symbol, percentile tmp, percentile, it will open temp folder. Just it's a temporary cache. You can just delete it, no worries. Similarly, Linux slash tmp it is. And slash user utilities and applications means, again, if you want to install an application, you can able to install slash user. No, we don't use that really much again. And what is it? Slash proc, process information. If you open something, let's say I opened Chrome, then as I told you, there will be a program behind it. We process anything. So will be that information will be stored in proc slash proc. Uh, Process information. Proc means process. I mean, shortcut is proc. So it will be stored there until the program is up and running. I open Chrome. There will be information stored in slash proc about that program. So this guy opened Chrome. It will store the information, and once I closed it, whatever the information stored in slash proc will be deleted automatically. We don't do anything for that. As I told you, we don't touch this at all. Hardly we touch Hardly we touch, like, slash home, opt maybe, sometimes slash. As I told you, not this just folder. We can able to create our own folder. Let's say I want to create folder called Ishwar. I'll just create a folder here, Ishwar, under the slash. Now what happens? It is not just Ishwar. It will be slash Ishwar, as I told you. Slash bin, slash boot, slash is mandatory. Let's say I create a folder called Ishwar. Inside that, there is a folder name called one. I mean, this test, let's say test. Now, what we call it? If it is in Windows, local disk D, Ishwar folder inside the test folder. But in Linux, slash Ishwar slash test. Remember that how I'm saying. I know it will be too much for one day, but trust me, it will be very easy when you'll figure it out. So this saying is important, as I told you. The slashes are important because we are representing a directory. The first slash, whatever you're seeing here, this is the directory name, this slash. And later, no matter how many slashes came, we're just separating it. See here, as an example, WP content slash uploads slash something, whatever the number slash something, whatever it is. See, we're dividing it. The second slashes or third slashes, we're dividing it. But the first slash is the folder name. The first slash is the folder name. Remaining whatever any slash comes, it's we're dividing the path. If you have you just open now, local disk C some folder, go there, you will see that on top you will see local disk D slash folder name slash, like that you will see, because they're giving you the path. So because why the second slash is and all, because they are inside that local disk. Local disk C slash test means the test is inside the local disk C. That's why it's showing you like that. The path. Similarly in Linux, the first slash is the root directory. Later, any slashes, the path, like inside that, like that. Got it? So always remember the saying that. Remember that. Sorry. Got it? So I know it's already too much time. So, but it's a today we have discussed about what is Linux, how the Linux came, how to how to use it. Maybe we'll see tomorrow the commands and everything. But for tomorrow, as I'm telling you again, make sure an account ready, AWS account. You can share the account, also that's completely fine. Or you can create your own. As I told you, just give the card information, deduct 2 rupees, and it'll give you back by tomorrow. So of course we don't. Maybe let's talk later. But yeah, it's because I'll show you tomorrow how to log into account. I think once you create account, you log in just like a Gmail account. How to create a server, Linux server, how to log into the Linux server. I'll show you tomorrow in AWS, because in future it will be useful for you, because every day we'll log into server to practice, right? So you'll remember it for after one day. Okay. But for now, try to have the accounts ready. If not, we can you can share it. I mean, that's fine. Like one, completely fine. Up to you. I mean, so but yeah, this is about Linux introduction today, and Linux, like who did, I mean, this guy Linus Torvalds, why he's important to the Linux, and of course, what is the directory structure or hierarchy structure of Linux, just like Windows. Hope I'm not going too fast, I believe. But yeah, any doubts so far? I mean, in any time within the class, let me know if you have any doubt. I'm telling you again, I can't see you whether you raised a hand or not, but just say it. Okay, just say it. I'll stop it, and we'll have the class. I mean, we'll have that clear the doubt. You just don't wait for finish the class and later maybe after the class is finished we'll ask. Not like that. Just ask. I'm telling you again. There are just few people in, I think 11 or 12. So just ask. No problem. If there are 50 or 100, maybe we'll also think maybe what they'll others think and all. But yeah, we don't. Nothing will get from that. I'm telling you again. Nothing will get from that. Just nonsense. That's it. So yeah. Any doubts so far? Anything? Just it's fine. There's no doubt. That's fine. There is doubt. Ask. Sorry. Yeah. What we have discussed so far, is it DevOps? No, no. What I have discussed so far in the class, Chandrasekhar, మనం లైనక్స్ గురించి మాట్లాడితే డెవాప్స్ అంటాం. ఇంకా చాలా టైం ఉంది. వస్తది. నేను చెప్పింది ఈ రోజు క్లాస్ చెప్తాను. ఇది లైనక్స్ ఈరోజు. అర్థమైందా? ఇంకో నెల లైనక్స్, సారీ, ఇట్స్ దట్స్ ఫైన్. చెప్తున్నా కదా, ఇట్స్ కంప్లీట్లీ ఫైన్. The doubt is valid only, but not for today. Got it? Once we start DevOps, definitely we'll cover all those things. So another 30 days, it will be Linux only. Another 30, maybe at 30. Okay? Because doubt is, yeah, it's completely fine, but not relevant for our class, whatever we discussed, right? So now I can say it, but you don't understand. Maybe most people don't understand because they don't know. That's the thing. You got what I'm saying, right? So once the time comes, we'll cover all those things. Don't worry. So any doubts in this class? I mean, whatever we discussed for 1 hour, 15 minutes. Any doubts? No. Anything? It's completely fine. If you don't have any doubts, one thing, make sure available in the group. I mean, if I say something in the group, make sure because I'll be sending documents, some links over there. So just make sure you're there in the Telegram group. Because if let's say tomorrow there is no class, I'm just saying it'll be there. But if I'm not available tomorrow for some reason, I'll ping there. I'll ping in the group. If you don't see it, you just join simply and wait here. It'll time waste, right? If you see that, okay, that's why. Just make sure you are available in the Telegram channel. If the message comes, just reply to that's it, and not just watching it every time. So yeah, that's, I think it's too late already. So if no doubts, we'll close the call for today. We'll meet tomorrow same time, 6:30. All right. If any doubt, just ping me. Just I'll be available. Even mostly not for a call, at least for a ping, at least I'll be available. Yeah. All right then. Uh, bye. Bye out. See you tomorrow.